raised, sunshine violations, certain things in the newspaper articles that have been addressed on several occasions. And I feel like, I think some of that criticism was unjust. I believe that if the sunshine law is put in effect, that the sheriff and the chief of police from the third largest agency in the state of Tennessee can't talk about public safety and discuss what has been discussed in open meetings, that somehow we have missed the spirit of that law. So I have instructed my chief counsel to get with the county law department, and I think we're going to try to revisit the sunshine law ruling with Chancellor Pridemore to get some clarity in this issue, to see where we need to go with that in the future. So I just don't feel that there was a violation, and I think that the chief and I talk on a daily basis, and we talk about public safety. That's our job, and our jobs depend on that. And if it's a violation for us to talk about public safety in our constituents, then we certainly need to revisit that law. So there's been much discussion about this, many articles written, and I just felt compelled that I needed to make that happen.
Is there any other discussion?
I guess I would ask, and I agree with what you just said, Sheriff. I think it is just the nature. I've got two direct reports that are on this board. We aren't able to discuss it. You've got reports, it's complicated the way that is. It does make it very difficult on a body like this. So, I agree with you that that is very difficult. Whether that can be changed or not, I don't know, but it does create some difficult dynamics when you're talking about public safety. But I want to shift it back, to the contract, and I think there are, the issue of the sole source, the original discussion about sole source. I understand how that would bother people, but what happened then is there wasn't a sole source contract. What we did was go through an RFP. And in my experience, as mayor, all the RFPs and the bid processes and all that we go through, once you start down that path, there are legal steps that you follow. And so to me, even though all of the stuff, the sunshine law, the sole source, all of that stuff is there and it's kind of clouding everything now, what we have before us is this contract. Specifications developed by the users, the three bidders, three proposers, and then an evaluation process. So I guess, and with the evaluation committee now recommending the Harris contract. So I guess what I need to know is, what is it about this contract that doesn't meet the specifications? Because all of us are concerned, we want to make sure that public safety is the number one, that this is gonna, that we're gonna be able to, that y'all are gonna be able to respond and do what you need to do. So I think the other stuff is out there and they are issues, but my job right now today is to vote on this contract. So I guess I would like to hear from you all why you think it does not meet the specifications.
Well, and that's an excellent question, and I think from the very beginning, no one in this room has ever said that the process of how the RFP was bid and led, there's never been any question of that. The veracity of that, never questioned by anyone on this board at any meeting I've been to. Hugh Holt is my friend, and I think he's done an excellent job, as he always does. If he didn't work for the mayor, he'd work for me. So he does an excellent job, and so
he's not for hire.
I just don't feel that's ever been questioned. I think what was questioned from day one or early on in the process was the involvement of the user group. We as individuals who have to use this radio system that our men and women's lives depend on each and every day didn't feel like our input had enough value. And I think every one of us had expressed that. That was the problem we had with this process from almost the very beginning. And we still, well, I'm not gonna speak for anybody else, I still feel like that hasn't changed.
But again, what is it in this contract that doesn't meet the specifications? I understand that there, but you know, what would you change about this contract?
There's no doubt, I think that the contract needs a specification. Now, I don't think that's the issue. I think that the issue is that we feel like our involvement was not up to the value that it should have been. And ultimately, we are the people that have to stand up and defend this system. And there were problems with other systems. This is not something that just happened overnight. This has been going on for 18 months. And those issues were brought up then, and they're still being brought up today. Nothing has changed. The same issues are out there that were out there when we first started talking about this contract.
What do you mean? What issues?
That there are other problems with the radio system. I mean, you know, you can talk to other agencies, you can talk to I mean, you know, it is what it is.
You're saying there's problems with the Harris?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I guess I would like to call on somebody to speak to the issues that have been raised about Harris.
They can't speak to those issues because of pending litigation.
Pardon me?
They can't speak to those issues because of pending litigation, or that's what we were told.
Madam Chair, is there something, I guess I'd call to see if there's anybody that can, I mean, certainly they can address it in some way. For Mr. Holt, you know, or the committee that's still going forward, obviously there are votes that say there was support to still move this forward.
Greg Farmer from Harris is in the audience here.
Greg Farmer from Harris, can you speak to that?
Chair Lady, I move that we stand in recess to hear from Harris.
Oh, why do we
It's
have?
not national, we're not going to board.
We're good.
Okay, good morning, again, I'm Greg Farmer, I'm a regional sales manager with Harris. I've met most of you before, you've heard from most of us, or most of you have heard from us before during the evaluation process. The problems with the Harris systems, well, we have deployed over 100 P25 systems throughout US and Canada. I know you've heard that before, Sheriff. And so we stand on that P25 system quality. The one that came out in the paper early in the evaluation process, and we got asked about several times by the evaluation committee, was Miami-Dade. Miami-Dade, Florida is one of the busiest systems in the country. It does more than 2 million PTTs a month. And that system, we converted them from an older analog system to a new P25 system, very similar to the one that we're proposing here, but it's a lot larger. And what happened there, when we converted them over from analog to digital, they moved all 12,000 police officers in one day. We had some startup issues with configuration and with training. There were some issues. It did make the paper. You can look those articles up. And so that's unfortunate. However, what we did was we had done contingency planning. The old system was still online. We had programmed the old system and the new system in the radio, so they were able to switch back to the old system and do that. And then we regrouped. You know, that way, the contingency planning made sure that no one, had to deal with the system while the project was going on. Those were resolved. There was a lot of training. There was a lot of extra people from us on site resolving issues as they came up. And those officers have all been transitioned back. They all moved back by division instead of all at once, so that more training and more focus could be applied as they're learning to work the new equipment and as we're working out all the configuration. How should this be configured? What should the groups be? All that sort of stuff. And that was done. And the last police department division went on in November, so they've been operating